When our firm decided to initiate the Business 2020 series, the business department and other members of the firm sat around and thought, what can we do for Central Oregon and business to support the growth that is needed in this area? Central Oregon is a vital economic community. It ranks second in entrepreneurial activity behind Portland, which I think is amazing, and it just goes to show what a vibrant business community we have. And Karnopp Petersen has been involved in this community for 75 years, and we're vested in the growth of this community. We want to make sure that Central Oregon survives its difficult times now, and we want to stimulate the growth in our community. And we thought that the Business 2020 series will do that. Our series is designed to really be a preeminent executive seminar series, which is going to look at global issues and focus those particular issues in Central Oregon. We hope to energize and elevate the dialogue with respect to these difficult issues that surround impediments, as some people refer to those, the impediments in the development of business and growth in Central Oregon. And we want to challenge businesses and civic organizations, governmental organizations, to discuss these issues, the critical issues for growth like infrastructure and education, telecommunications, and financing, which is really the focus of the program today. The series is going to be designed to provide national and regional experts who will help focus and energize that discussion in Central Oregon. One of our keynote, or one of our co-sponsors, EDCO, again, I want to thank them for helping us with this inaugural 2020 presentation. They facilitate the Venture Capitalist Program, which is a pilot program to boost the creation of new scalable trade sector businesses in Central Oregon. And Jim Coonan, who recently joined EDCO to chair that particular program. And Jim is going to spend a few minutes talking about EDCO and that program. Jim is a current board chair of the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network and serves on the advisory committee for the Mount Hood Equity Partners. Jim is also going to be the moderator today for our panel, which is going to follow our keynote speaker. Jim?
Morning. I'm Jim Coonan, and I'm the Ben Venture Catalyst manager, and just started back in April, and really a lot of exciting things. The thing that's coming up the closest is the Ben Venture Conference. That's on October 14th. Really a lot of excitement there on a number of fronts. One, we have 2 awards. We have a Launch Stage Post-Revenue Award, and we also this year have a Concept Stage Award. I'm pleased to announce that we have nearly doubled the number of companies applying this year. So last year we had about 25. Last count I looked at on AngelSoft last night, we were up to 47 companies. So a lot of energy coming from that. And also I can say now that we will have the single largest raise ever for the Ben Venture Conference. 6 weeks before the conference, we've already very close to our $200,000 goal. And I think we're going to go over that. And I think it's an indication of what's happening in the angel community and relevant to today's talk, because really when we talk about access to capital, the traditional models have been replaced by new modes of financing, whether that's angel, pre-seed, seed, venture capital, private equity, revenue capital, just a whole number of new kinds of financing out there. So I'll keep my words short here. I just wanted to make sure it gets on your radar screen. October 14th. There's actually the other event, which I want to mention, is September 22nd, which has probably been to one of our pub talks. This year on the concept stage companies, we're actually having the pub talk audience select our 5 finalists that will appear at the conference. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then at the conference, We have Andy Sack, one of the founders of Techstars, coming out of Seattle. As I say, I think we've already surpassed our largest ever fundraising in terms of money. And I should also add, Kanth being on the board of the Oregon Growth Account has graciously given us a match. So up to $50,000, they will match our private sector dollars that go into this event. So really pretty exciting, and I think when Kanth talks about it, when we get into the panel, there is quite a buzz happening all over Oregon, but I've seen it particularly in the short spell I've been here since April, I guess I started. The number of companies and the energy around that, I told my wife I've got the best job in the world, because all I do is I deal with entrepreneurs every day. Now, the heartache comes later after you invest in them, but prior to that, it's like dating and you're in love every day. So I've got a great job, and I'm just really pleased to be part of the EDCO team. And again, I'm focused on the entrepreneurial segment, but EDCO is really focused on traded segment generally. So they've made my life a lot easier, and of course they do great works and great job in the community. So just send out a thanks to that. So I'll turn it back to our main course. Thank you.
Our keynote speaker, Kanth Gopalpur, is a well-known Oregon entrepreneur. And when we were trying to look at the series and think about what was really important, financing was one of the critical issues that really came to the top of our list. And so we started looking for someone who we thought would be instrumental in discussing financing and the entrepreneurial aspect of that. And it didn't take us long to narrow that list down to Kanth. We did a little bit of a Google search, and I told him I've looked at those Google pages, and after about 3 or 4 pages, I decided that this is the guy. Very impressive. He is a well-recognized business speaker and a role model for business executives who are interested in raising funding and growing their businesses. He serves as a board member of the Oregon Growth Account, as Jim had mentioned, and the Oregon chapter of TIE. He's the president and the founder of Monsoon Inc., which is a Portland-based international online selling solutions company. Through his efforts, he's gained the company recognition on Inc. magazine's 500 list and a ranking of 11th in Portland's fastest growing companies. He's a veteran Oregon entrepreneur, having founded and led online operations for Powells.com and helped build Django's, raising $14 million in venture capital. And would you please give a warm Central Oregon welcome to Kanth Gopalpur.
Thank you, Tom, and also thanks to everybody for showing up so early on a Friday morning. When you guys are in Bend, I thought you'd be out golfing or biking or whitewater rafting. So thank you for coming and listening to me. Quick question, how many people here are looking for funding? All right. And how many people are working in technology companies? Okay, just a few. All right. I'm just trying to figure out how I should tailor my talk. I'm going to talk primarily about my personal experiences with funding and also about the various sources. I've been through, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, but I've been through banks, angel, VC, and private equity. So I've kind of been through a lot of sources of funding, and also a last one, which I'll get to in my talk. So I can talk primarily about equity financing, but I'm sure the panel after me can talk about all the other sources as well. And I also noticed several bankers in the room, so please hit them up for money after the talk is done. There will be questions. There'll be opportunity for questions at the end of my talk, but feel free to jump in anytime you want. If you have a burning question or if you want to correct me, please stand up and ask a question, and I'll try my best to respond. Keep in mind, again, I'm going to talk primarily about my personal experiences, and the views I talk about are purely my own, so feel free to debate and challenge them. All right. So I want to start talking just about my professional experience here in Oregon. I came to Oregon in 1992, and there was a recession then. It looks like these come in 10-year cycles, because in 92 there was a recession. I moved here because I liked Oregon. I drove around the country. One summer I graduated from South Carolina. Before I graduated, I drove around the country, my wife and I, trying to figure out where we wanted to live. We came to the Northwest in the summer, and we loved it. Nobody told us about the rain, so this was in 91. We moved here, and 92 there was a drought, and it didn't really rain that much in February and March. And we were like, this is a conspiracy to keep people away. And of course, the next 10 years since it's been raining. So, but anyway, I'm really glad I made the move because we still love it here, and Oregon's been good to me. So I couldn't complain. So I started working at Powell's. How many people here are familiar with Powell's books in Portland? Good. I started working there. Well, just a little bit about my background. I got a background in government and international studies, a master's in government and international studies. I run a software company today, so go figure. But I came to Portland, couldn't get a job in my field. And people were like, what are you doing over here? You should be in a much bigger city. But I said, no, I like Portland. That's why I moved here, and I want to get a job. So I started Powell's, what I thought would be a temporary job. And I stayed there for 8 years. I'd used the internet in graduate school. This is in 89, 90, to do research primarily. So when the internet came along in 93, we set up an FTP site where people could download our inventory and order books. And then 94, Mosaic came, the first browser, net browser, and we launched Powell's books on the internet, essentially. And so I ran that, headed that for about, till 2000, so for about 6 years. It was a very interesting time. Keep in mind, this is the late 90s, so the dot-com boom. And we were going up against companies who had raised hundreds of millions of dollars. So we were going up against Amazon, Borders, Barnes & Noble, and there was Powell's Books in Portland, who we never raised any money. And it was fascinating. I used to give a lot of talks around, at that time, around the country. And while we had raised no money, I think back in 99, Powell's.com was more profitable than Amazon, Borders, and Barnes & Noble combined, which wasn't hard to do because they were all losing money. So even if we had $1 in profit, that was much bigger than them. So, but it was an interesting time because we were funding it essentially from cash flow. And here were all these companies raising tens, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And so I kept looking at that and saying, there's got to be a better way of doing this. We should be able to accelerate faster.